Well, let's speak to Liverpool fan Josh Sexton. I kind of listened to Arne Slot talking there and think, has he completely lost his mind? I don't think that Liverpool did compete with Paris Saint-Germain. They got beaten 4-0 on aggregate. I don't get what he's optimistic about.
I think it's tough, isn't it? Like a lot of times when Arne Slot has spoke this season, he's kind of referred to statistics and things that maybe we as fans aren't necessarily seeing on the eye test. And I think to be fair to him, if I was trying to sort of give him any sort of toffee from what he said there in the interview, is that Liverpool did go toe to toe with PSG at times. Last night, I didn't think they did. In the first leg, I thought last night was a much more determined performance where they were actually looking to attack PSG, which is the right way around to have done things considering it was the home leg. But of course, come up short and were eventually picked off.
Yeah, I mean, there was there's questions over the starting lineup. Like Isak, I think, touched the ball 5 times and just looked well off it. I think it was a confusing decision when the team that I think people sort of expected to start maybe ended up on the pitch. Sort of first 15-20 minutes of the second half, Liverpool were pressing and sort of pressurising, but there weren't like massive chances, particularly at Liverpool created. Like PSG didn't feel like they were under any great threat.
No, and I think particularly first half, and to be fair, this applied to PSG as well, really. The minute Liverpool tried to speed up the game, it looked like they gave away the ball. And as I say, PSG were kind of doing the same thing, really. It definitely wasn't the PSG side that we got last season, I think, in the Champions League. I think it's still a brilliant side and one that's streets ahead of Liverpool. But I was, half disappointed in the level of their performance last night as well. And obviously, it still led to Liverpool getting picked off because Liverpool definitely weren't at the level. It felt like in the final third in particular, Liverpool just lacking a lot of inspiration and creativity last night, but over the course of the season and in general, really. I do feel a little bit sorry for Isak in the sense of I think a lot of his service was just kind of like lumped balls over the top rather than anything particularly into feet or off the shoulder. And I think it's obviously off the shoulder where he's benefited a lot, but Liverpool just don't seem to have the players who can kind of carry the ball to the positions where suddenly you can then be making a run in behind Alexander Isak and be knocking the ball through to him.
Really sad to see Hugo Ekitike go off with. I mean, we don't know what the injury is at the moment, but it looked, whenever someone goes down and they're nowhere near another player and is in pain and stretchered off, it's bad news. Bad news for Liverpool, potentially bad news for France and the World Cup as well.
Yeah, a real heartbreaker, to be honest. And you could kind of see, I'm sure that the sort of inference there is that, it's kind of an Achilles injury because he sort of looks back as if to see that someone's like tread down his ankle and then tries to go again a couple of times. It was a really tough watch and gutted for him. I don't think he's had the sort of best time in recent weeks either, so it will definitely feel compounding. But, he's had a great first season for Liverpool, really, and one of those players that you are very excited about for the future.
Yeah. So we know no silverware this season for Arne Slot. Maybe they sneak into the Champions League next season, get that 5th place, or I suppose could finish higher potentially. Even if they qualify for the Champions League, do you think Arne Slot will be in charge at the start of next season?
I think it's really tough to say, and partly because the waters are kind of being muddied by everything that seems to be coming out from the club. Most of it is coming from Arne Slot himself, so I don't know whether that's worth taking with a pinch of salt. But he seems to think he's got the backing of the ownership and stuff. I just think there may be enough of the fan base that has decided now that it's time to move on. I think there's a lot of sort of people who almost wouldn't be too cross if he was moved on either. I'm classing as in a different camp to the people who really want to see him move on now. So I think it might just be best to have a change in the summer to inspire something different from these players and what we've seen this season, because it's clearly a more talented bunch than what we've seen in terms of the quality on the pitch.
And I think in terms of those camps, the camp that has ardent Slot supporters, people who definitely want to see him in charge, that's quite a lonely place.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm not even sure if that exists, particularly at this stage. I think there's people who've sort of clung on to the league title last season, but I think, you know, we've now got 2 years of evidence, and 1 year of evidence is really, really disappointing, as much as 1 year of evidence was, you know, absolutely brilliant. So it's hard to say the negative outweighs positive, because the Premier League winning season was absolutely unbelievable, but this one has been sort of, you know, hopeless in a way. It doesn't feel like there's much hope for the future if he stays as the manager, which is, you know, a great shame to say, to be honest.
Yeah. Good stuff. Nice chatting to you. Cheers, Josh.
Cheers, Rick.
Liverpool fan Josh Sexton.